Okay, well, this is a summary of the Industrial Organizational Psychology and Applied Approach 6th edition. I think everyone should read this book, whether you're a business owner, whether you're in recruiting or in HR, you have to know this book. And I did the work for you, so hopefully it'll be easy. Okay, first thing you have to know is job analysis. What is a job analysis? A job analysis is basically you go over to the hiring manager, you ask them, so tell me, what does the job do? What do you do on 9 to 5? You come in, you get your coffee, the person sits down at the computer, what do they do? What is a job analysis needed for? It's needed for writing job descriptions, because if you don't know what the job does, how can you write a job description? If you don't know what the job is, how can you properly select an employee? How can you train an employee for a job if you don't know what's needed for the job? How do you know if the person's doing the job? So how do you know if you want to promote? How do you know if you want to fire? How do you know if this job is being compliant with someone that's, let's say, a disability, whether they could or couldn't do it? So a job analysis is really the most important thing in HR. How to do a job analysis? Just ask the hiring manager what the person does all day. What soft skills are needed, what hard skills, what software skills, the basic stuff. Most IO psychologists, they get into all these validities and criterions and statistics and tests. Just basics. What do you need to do and what do you do all day? Adverse impact. This means an employment decision that hinders a certain group from getting a job or being promoted. Let's say, for example, if college degrees are not needed for a certain job, like college degrees are not needed for most things, right? Because like in college, you do 120 credits, which is like 40 classes, and you're only doing one class in HR or two classes in HR. The rest are, BS. So, are they actually needed? And if you're requiring a college degree, would certain groups then be hindered from getting this job? For example, there was a Duke Energy versus something case where all of a sudden, they just needed high school degrees or something. Now they just said they needed college degrees, or, maybe they didn't require high school degrees and you're performing manual labor. You don't need a high school degree or a college degree for manual labor. But they decided, we want high school degrees. And they sued them, saying it's not needed for the job. And they won because, performing manual labor does not need you to know any math or English. In employment law, employers are guilty until proven innocent. Once it is known that something has an adverse impact on a certain group, employers would have to prove that it is not adverse impact. In regular law, it's innocent until proven guilty, but here it's the opposite. What do you do when there are complaints? Someone has a complaint, they bring it to HR. Do you just throw it under the rug? Please do not do that. All complaints must be investigated. There must be due process. The company must protect the whistleblower. The punishment must fit the crime. You can't just say, oh, it's not really a complaint, because ultimately if you get sued, they're going to ask you, what did you do? Is there a record of it? Even when firing employees and when you have complaints against employees, they're going to ask you, was everything investigated? What are their complaints? Did you go to that employee? Did you tell them what to do? Did you properly, since they did something bad, if you came, did you properly give the punishment? Was the punishment over excessive? Complaints are really difficult, and a lot of people can get, in trouble if they don't have the proper processes when dealing with complaints. FMLA, this is a law that says you must give 12 weeks unpaid leave to spouses or immediate family members that have births, adoptions, foster care placement, or whether you're caring for an immediate family member that is sick or for an employee that is sick themselves. And the actual government said if there's a family member in the military that they got to take care of something, you need to give them up to 26 weeks of unpaid leave. FMLA eligibility. If you have 50 or more employees that work within 70 miles of each other, then they are eligible for those 12 weeks of unpaid leave, and you have to give it to them. Let's say you got 30 people that work in New Jersey, 30 people work in Honolulu, so total 60 employees, then all 60 are not eligible for FMLA because there's no 50 employees working within 70 miles of each other. Employees have to work there for at least a year, and employees have to work at least 1,250 hours over the year. Interviews. This is what most HR does, interviews. There are two types of interviews, the structured interviews and unstructured interviews. Interviews that are structured are job-related questions, like when you do the job analysis, you ask them, it says you got to actually sit in a computer all day, you got to know how to use a computer. So an interview would be like, do you know how to use a computer? All applicants have to be asked the same questions. You can't have one person saying, do you know how to use a computer, and one person saying, do you know how to do imaging, which is a computer thing. They got to be the same questions, and then there's a standardized scoring to evaluate applicants. Unstructured, which is the opposite of structured, is like you have these recruiters say, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or what books have you read, or tell me about yourself. Those are unstructured interviews. They have nothing to do with the job, nothing at all. But, I don't know, people like to give unstructured interviews because they think it's cute. I don't know. Types of interviews, one-on-one. Those are the usual stuff where someone calls you up, say, hi, would you be interested in an interview? Are you still available now? And that's a one-to-one interview. A serial interview is where you have one person coming in, and first they meet with a recruiter, and 2 hours later they meet with the HR, 2 hours later they meet with the hiring manager, and 2 hours later they meet with the CEO. A panel interview is where multiple people conduct the interview at the same time. Like you would have a recruiter, an HR, and a hiring manager all at the same time giving an interview. A group is where you have multiple applicants coming together, and you have possibly multiple people, giving the interview with multiple applicants. Commonly asked unstructured interview questions. Why should I hire you? Why is this unstructured? Because I don't know, why should I hire you? I'm me, why not? What does it have to do with the job? Either I'm good at the job or I'm not good at the job. What do you see yourself doing in 5 years? I have no idea what I'm doing in 5 years. I'm only thinking about today. I want the job. What is your greatest strength or weakness? What does that have to do with the job? I can do the job or I can't do the job. How would you describe yourself? I don't know. I don't describe myself. Other people describe me. I have no idea how to describe myself. What college subjects do you like best, the least? I like everything, or I like nothing. I just like doing this job. What do you know about our company? What do I care about your company? I only want to do this job and, get self-actualization. Why did you decide to seek a position with the company? Hello, there's a job available. What do you really want to do in life? I don't know what I want to do in life. Today I want to do making interviews and talking about IO psychology. Tomorrow, maybe project management. I don't know. Why unstructured interviews are bad. Interview appearance may reduce chances of being hired. It has no effect on job performance, the way, let's say you come for an interview and you're wearing a suit and no one told you what you should wear, and the company has wanted you to actually wear slacks or chinos or something, so they may say, oh, this is a suit guy, we don't want that. Nonverbal cues can affect the hiring process, because unstructured interviews, you're just trying to connect with the recruiter, but it has no effect on job performance. It really doesn't make any sense. And then nonverbal cues, they'll pick up on something which may or may not suggest something and may have no validity on job performance. And then there's the halo effect and contrast effects where if the recruiter's a female, they may see you as a male and you're maybe chauvinistic or antagonistic, you may be old, you may be a different race, and it also depends on the mood of the interviewer. Let's say their baby was crying all night and they come for an interview and everyone in that does that interview is going to be terrible because the baby was up all night or didn't have their morning coffee. So, these are all interview processes that have nothing to do with the actual job. Good interview questions. There are 6 types: clarifier, disqualifier, skill level determiner, behavioral, situational, or organizational fit. Clarifier will be like, I noticed the resume gap. Can you tell me about that? You're going to ask, clarify questions about how they work and how they like to work. Or can you tell me how you like to get your feedback? Disqualifier would be like, do you have a driver's license? Can you lift 50 pounds? Skill level determiners. Do you know how to do Boolean searching? Can you actually do the job? Do you know what an API is? Do you know Python? Behavioral. Tell me about a time when you used attention to detail properly, Or tell me about a time when you made a mistake in doing attention to detail and how did you go about owning your mistake. Situational. If a customer says to you, you are stupid, why is my food late? What do you do? Do you get angry at them? What do you do? So, we can see how you would react in certain situations. Organizational fit to be like, what type of workplace is good for you? How do you like your feedback? I like my feedback to be given straight. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me how I'm doing it. I want to know I'm on track. And some organizations, they're just, all over the place. They never tell you anything. They just expect you to do something. So if it's unstructured, it's not for me. Negligent hiring. So when hiring, you got to do reference checks. If an employer hires someone without checking references and that person is a known, person that steals all the time, I forgot what the word is, the employer may be liable if it was a known thing and you didn't check it out. So make sure you check out your references. So how do you know if a person is good for the job? So there are certain job knowledge tests. One is what I call skills-based recruiting. It's like asking a bartender how to make a martini. I don't do resumes. I do skills-based recruiting. If you're looking for a person that knows recruiting and their skills may be Boolean searching, do you know how to do Boolean searching? They say the job knowledge tests have excellent content and criterion validity, so you can't go wrong with that. Let's say you have a job that doesn't require any knowledge of the job. So you may have something called applicant ability tests, like cognitive tests or perception tests, psychomotor tests, physical ability tests, that will determine if you have the ability to do the job. But you got to be careful over here because you can't have questions that have nothing to do, like with they gave an example of policemen in California needed the ability to swim. But they did some testing and they said, it was like one out of every 100 chases, someone needed to swim. So this is if you're trying to go, a disabled person may sue and say, hey, that has nothing to do with the job. You can't test me on that. Like I once got a test where they tested how old your brain is. I was applying for a recruiter job or whatever. So my brain is 90. If I can do the job, I can do the job. Give me the job. Other skills tests may be a work sample, where they do this with coders. They send them home with a work sample, so show me how you would approach this problem. Or you can do simulations, which is you actually put them in the test. Let's say you're doing customer service in a restaurant. They would say, go do this customer service example. Send them in. Straight on the job, see how they do. If the person's not a fit for the job, make sure you give rejection letters. You don't want to appear to be ghosting. That's terrible for your brand. Also, be very personable and specific. When you give a rejection letter, tell them why they didn't or weren't a fit. I hate those people. Oh, we love you, but you're not fit for us. We may like you in the future, but no, we won't. These rejection letters, they're all the same and they're all boring. How to motivate employees. Some people say they want employees to be responsible for their work and get feedback. You want to be able to do your work, you want to be able to get feedback, and that will actually help you become a better employee. Some say there's something called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. People want safety or job security. Some people may work for money. They want to get money. Some people may work for social needs, like they want to have friendly workers. They need money, of course, but money's not the best thing. They want to come and have nice friends or go out after work. Some people work for recognition. They want to be, director of marketing, director of whatever it is. They can get paid $100,000, but I want to be, director. And some people just want to just do good work. So you got to know what motivates your employees and figure out what is going on so that you can actually give them that motivation and have a long-lasting employee. How to make goals. You got to make sure you set goals for your employees. Goals should be smart, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Like, for example, a specific goal is you should come on time 5 times out of the next 30 days. So that's specific. It's measurable because, did they come on time by 9 o'clock or did they not come on time? And it's attainable because you think you could come on time, It's not definitely that you can't come on time, but you definitely should be able to come on time. It's relevant, I don't know, let's say you got to be on time because you got to open the store. So it's a relevant goal. Time bound, it's over the next 30 days. So the goal is finished after 30 days. So goals have to be SMART, SMART. Raises, when to give raises or promotions. Some say you give raises when a certain goal is met. You do a certain number of applications underwritten, then you get a raise. Some say a certain time period, every 6 months you get a raise. Some say certain experience and tasks haven't met, like assuming you were there 6 months and you took apart this many hours in work, so you probably have this much experience. Then you can, get a raise. Some say maybe it's possible if we do a job analysis, you can test for, new skills, and we can test you on your experience to see if you actually are raise material. Some say when certain traits haven't met, like you've been honest for 100 days, or you've helped out coworkers, things like that. And that is the summary of IO psychology. There's not really much else you need to know. And if you just keep all this stuff, then you are good to be finished. That's all you need to know. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.